It's the final part of creating my 9-patch sewing machine cover, and oh my god, was this worth the effort. I started by making a handle for the top of my cover using some leftover scraps of my checkerboard blocks. I started with 2 strips of fabric 14 inches long and about 5 inches wide. I double layered it to give it some extra security, folded the edges in, and then folded both of those edges together, if that makes sense. Then I proceeded like I would for the handle of any bag, reinforcing it with 4 different seams. To secure it to the cover, I used this decorative stitch. I just made a block with an X through it for a fancier finish. I had to contort my hands and the fabric to get it through the machine properly, but it all worked out. Then it was finally time to create the structure of the actual cover. I proceeded like I would for a regular quilted bag, sewing the sides together and then creating these boxed out corners. The minute I finished this section, I knew it was absolutely the right move. Next up was the lining, which was pretty easy to do, a lot more straightforward because I followed the same steps as the main body of the bag, but I just left a gap in the bottom to pull the project through. Then I just had to stitch around the entirety of the bag with about a centimeter seam allowance. I did have to adjust my sewing machine here and there because it was a little lumpy with all the thick batting, but it looked so good. And then it was finally time for my favorite part, which is flipping the project inside out. Is it just me, or does this feel like birthing your project? So fun though. The last step was to sew a seam around the outside of the project about a centimeter in, and I'm sorry to do this, but come back tomorrow for the final reveal.